What's going on, guys? The Barber Phil here, back again with another haircut tutorial. And in today's cut, we've got another taper fade, but today it's on red hair. And I haven't brought anybody on my channel yet with red hair. I don't cut a whole lot of red haired clients, so I don't have a ton of experience with it. But what I have cut, I noticed that most red hair clients, their hair is either thick or coarse or wiry or all the above. His is kind of a mix of all three. But we're going to be really methodical with our steps, make sure that we keep everything consistent, and we should end up with a nice blurry end result. So what I'm doing here with this 3-guard is I'm trying to start down in the nape area in the back and then over in the temple area where his sideburns are, come straight up through there, blow out this whole side panel just to clear it out, and then I'll know that I can fade down from a 3 down through the actual taper in the nape and the temple area, making sure that as we get up to that parietal ridge area. And something that I've noticed lately, and I don't know if this is going to be the case with every client, usually if you look at their vertical bar in their front lineup, the top of the vertical bar a lot of times, unless somebody's like receding, is a good indicator of where the vertical bar is. So if you can do an imaginary line from the top of the vertical bar over to the back of the crown, that's about the line that usually you can follow for that parietal ridge area. And then I had a client, or not a client, I had a subscriber in my last video asked to specify a little bit more about what I do with clipper over comb. So I'm going to try to go over that a little more in detail. So what you saw at first there was I took the comb and I basically pointed the teeth into his head. That's the way I start out combing up into the hair. I'll go teeth first up under the line that I'm wanting to remove, and then I'll scoop up through the actual section that I'm wanting to clipper over comb. What I do as far as determining how much hair to remove, if you will leave that bottom of the comb flush to the head just below the area that you're wanting to remove, what you do is you angle the teeth out away from the head, and the more you angle that teeth out, the less hair you're going to cut off and the more weight you're going to leave. The more flush you hold those teeth to the head, the more hair you're going to cut off and the less weight you're going to leave, if that makes sense. And I'm going to try to do another video at some point that that shows that a little bit more in detail, but keep the bottom of that comb flush to the head just below the area that you're wanting to clipper over comb. When you comb up through there, the hair that you're wanting to cut is what will feed up through those teeth, and then as you angle the top of the teeth out away from the head, you're going to leave more weight. Now here what we did, we switched over to an open 2-guard, and we're fading the middle of this fade out between the one that we did just a minute ago, or the one we're doing right now. We faded up into that closed 3-guard. Now that was a closed 1 in the temple. Now we opened it up, and we're just kind of flicking up into that 2-guard, trying to skip guard a little bit and eliminate using that 1.5. Same thing right here. I'm pointing out that I'm going right at the bottom of his ear with that 1-guard closed, and then we're going to flick up into that 2-guard. And as you guys can tell, you know, it's a rough draft at first, but it's pretty faded out right now as it is. We'll go ahead and come in with the FXs, give him a nice round about his ear, and then from there we'll go in and we'll start fading out the back. So same steps are going to apply here. We're going to use that 3-guard closed. We're going to come from the base down in the bottom of the nape area, come straight up through there and off. Once you get up to that same area that I was talking about in the crown area, you can almost just see me float the clipper up and off the head. I don't necessarily have to, I kind of freehand it a little bit. Like right there, I don't even know that my clipper, once I get up to the crown area, is touching his head, but I just know that I am coming, just straight. Imagine a board on the side of their head, and you're literally taking that guard like straight flush to that board. You don't want to round it at all. You don't want to dig in too much, and that's a good way to be able to leave the weight in the crown area, but not leave it too heavy, and then obviously not, be a crown chopper and take all the weight off. So here's a little bit more clipper over comb. Same thing, guys. The more you angle that teeth out at the top, the more hair you're going to leave. The more flush to the head that you keep that comb, the less weight you're going to leave. And like I always say, I like to use the Oster flat top combs. It's a thicker plastic, and then of course with it being a flat top comb, the teeth on the comb are as wide as the teeth on your clipper, so there's a lot less risk of you gapping somebody. So that's a nice little tip. I know that Andy's makes one as well. It's a little bit more of a more flimsy plastic, so I've used it before and broken off some of the teeth, so that's why I went back to the Oster one. So here once again we switch back over to that 2 guard. Same thing as on the other side. We're going to just flick up into that 3 guard, and then I did go ahead and use the 1.5 back here because it's more of a surface area, because it drops all the way down, down below his ears. So we hit this middle area out with an open 1.5 guard. Starting with an open 1 guard here, just basically flicking up into that open 1.5, just continuing to work our way down. Just keep an eye. A lot of times what I can do is use like the ears as a reference. If I know that I went through the middle of their ear with the 1.5 guard, then I know that I can go through the bottom of their ear with the 1 guard. And like I pointed out a while ago, the bottom of his ear is about where I took that closed 1 guard. So we did the same thing here, and now we're just going to use this 1.5. Flick up through there, up into that up into the half guard, up into the 1.5 and the 1 guard that we just did, and then we can go ahead and pull out the FXs. Actually, go ahead and ball it out. And I zoomed in here just to, maybe you guys can take something away from the actual motions or the flicking motion or any wrist action that I've got going on here. I figured I'd try zooming in. Somebody else, another subscriber, requested more of a close-up view, so hopefully this works, and I'll try to get some more close-up views in other spots as well, potentially on other haircuts. But this is just below the ear. We balded that whole section out. Now usually what I always do, come in with the Slimline Pro LIs right after that FX, just kind of blow out that bottom trimmer line, because I know that personally with my clippers, my metal magic clip closed will take this out no problem, and I don't have to come back in later on and worry about tapping at a line with the trimmers or anything like that. So we're going to start with this clipper closed. Just continue the tiniest little sections. It's not even a section. You're basically just kind of flicking through the line and removing it. It's not really a section per se. And at this point we're just a hair below the earlobe, maybe up to the bottom of the earlobe. And then what we're going to do here, flick up through this that closed section there with the clipper halfway open, and then we will open it all the way up, and we'll connect it all together by using the Wahl Premium half guard. Hopefully what you guys can take away from this being a little more zoomed in is how loose that I have my wrist. I try to have it all fluent. I don't like to be robotic and have my wrist locked for any reason. I like that clipper to just kind of flick up through there, nice and soft, because sometimes I think also if you're really robotic and you're stiff in your wrist, the way you hold your clipper, you can be a little aggressive in the way you actually cut your client's hair. Like, I think they will notice the tenseness and the way that clipper is actually making contact with their head, versus if you're a little more fluent, a little looser with your grip, you'll be a little softer touch. I don't have any tattoos, but I would, if you do have tattoos, I would kind of probably associate it with that. If you got heavy-handed tattoo artists and light-handed tattoo artists, and I would say that that's probably plays into the same thing. How aggressive they are with it, how tense they are, and so just keep that in mind. Just did a little detail work there a second ago, hitting a few spots here and there. I got a little bit blurry on this particular side here, I believe, but we're doing the same steps: 3 guard up and off, 2 guard below that, clipper over comb here in a second, as always, just to help remove a little bit of that bulk, so that when we come in later with blending shears, we almost always finish it off with blending shears just to soften up the ends of those hairs. But to actually get it where we like to be as far as length goes, clipper over comb combined with those blending shears is usually what we end up with. So we did the 3 guard, 2 guard. I did actually go ahead and do the 1.5 on this side. It was a little bit darker just below the weight up at the top, right above where I'm at now. So I did decide to go ahead and use the 1.5. There's the 1 guard open, flicking up into that 1.5, and we obviously closed it in the temple area. But as you guys can tell, this side turned out, you know, it's nice and faded, blurry out too. We're going to use the FXs to do a little C-cup, and then his round about his ear. So I tried to zoom in on this part as well for the blending shears. Basically what I'm using is the more wide tooth side of my regular comb, straight up off the head, just like you do with guards and a clipper. You don't want to dig down into this hair at all. You just want to flush through the head, come straight off and up and off. Whatever hair feeds through that comb, that's what you can. That's what you need to clip. And then here, his sideburns were growing down a little bit, you know, midway down his ear. We went ahead and tapered that out, closed a no guard up all the way, about halfway up his ear there. We opened it up halfway, and then we opened it up all the way. Once we got to the top of his ear, then we faded that out back in with the half guard. Now for the top, we weren't removing a ton. You know, we live in Kentucky, so this is deer season. He said to leave it a little bit longer on top so his head's not as cold when he's in the deer stand. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go through here. I start in the front. I start using sections from that front section that we started with. Work our way back, pulling a part of each section from the previous one for the section that we're currently working on. That way we keep everything consistent. And we're not doing anything blunt across there right now. Point cutting everything. That way we can maintain some length. But he's not one to really fix his hair, even though he's in high school. I keep trying to convince him that he needs to, you know, rock it kind of messy. But you know, he's more of a get up and go type guy, so it is what it is. We're coming through there, point cutting everything, trying to keep that length consistent. A couple different ways to do it. You can either, some of these I'm coming in from like, there's a couple different ways. It's hard to describe the 2 different ways that I'm doing it. You got that way where I'm coming with the teeth back towards me, like basically point cutting back towards my fingers. And then the one that I'm doing right here, I'm basically resting the steel blade on my finger and then just moving the cutting blade along my finger, I guess, if you will. It's just different angles that I come in. I'm shorter, so sometimes cutting the top presents a little bit of a challenge. So I try to do what I can, change things up a little bit, and try to get the best end result we can. So to keep things consistent, we're going to go ahead and do some blending shear over comb on this side as well, just to match the other side. All we're doing, straight up and off the head, lightening up that parietal ridge area just to lay this hair a little bit softer. We don't want to dig in there at all. And then here's the part I was talking about earlier, guys, with the mask. I honestly did not expect this to happen. I was just coming up through here, blowing out this side, hitting a couple spots, and boom, clipped it. And it was funny enough, his immediate reaction cracked me up. He just turned and stared at me like, wow, did that really just happen? And I thought he was going to be upset. Come to find out, he was like, no, man, it just gives me a reason to take it off anyway, so you're good. I was like, all right, sweet. But anyways, guys, that does it for this haircut tutorial. Take a second, hit me up in that comment section. Let me know what you thought. Give me some feedback if there's anything else you guys would like to see. If you're new, guys, consider subscribing. We post a video every Sunday and Wednesday. That's the schedule, so hit that subscribe button and that notification bell every Sunday and Wednesday. Usually around between 5 and 6, you'll get an update of a new video, some more content coming out. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't. And guys, until the next video, I appreciate it.